So, I hate being the negative guy, I feel like you guys all know this by now, but if I had uploaded this, if I had done this earlier like I had planned to, I don't think I would have been so negative about this. But we are going to be talking about 2k24 and the actual state that it is in right now, because I feel like a lot of people are sweeping under the rug just how bad this game is at the moment, and I will explain what I mean. Just give me a second, okay? There's a lot of good points, there's a lot of bad points, there's one really disgusting point that I feel like is worth mentioning, but we are going to get into all of that right here, right now. So instead of focusing on the negatives first, let's start off with the positives, because I feel like a lot of people are here to probably talk about or hear about what's good about the game. And there are good things, okay? I don't want people thinking that I'm just being negative for the sake of being negative. No, there are some good elements to the game. Yeah, they've added in a ramp cam, which is really nice to give things, you know, more diversity. We're able to create basically a new hard cam, and it's great for core universes, great for regular universe modes. It just gives it a different flavor. You know, I can have the standard hard cam for like CEW, and I can have the ramp one for EPW if I really wanted to, you know, stuff like that. It's fun, it's something new, and good on 2K for adding that, because it probably should have been a thing a long time ago. We can throw weapons. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but throwing weapons is easily the best thing about this game right now. I love just getting into random Extreme Rules matches and just throwing chairs at people, throwing kendo sticks at people. It's the highlight of my day whenever I actually play this game, because I've not been playing this game a lot, I'll keep it real with you. And speaking of new things and new mechanics, the new match types, ambulance, casket, you know, etc., special guest ref, I mean, they're fun, and that's really all that matters, you know. Are the formulas a little bit it is what it is. Hey, if people are enjoying it, who am I to say anything? I think for somebody who makes matches, for somebody whose whole purpose of playing this game is to create matches and create storylines, I'm not sure how much use I'm going to be able to get out of those modes, but we will see. We'll see if I ever do move over to 24. And then we're going to talk about the gauntlet matches, because this is something that I realized whilst watching Dynamite yesterday, and it's very simple. They have added in a mode that they, like, WWE themselves have never done, which is the gauntlet match where everybody just keeps filing in. It's very similar to the casino gauntlet match, so I get a weird feeling that Tony Khan played 2K24, saw that and went, well, if instead of everybody eliminating each other, what if we just made it one fall to a finish and then call it a day? And you know what? Fair play if that was the case. But it is a really fun mode. Would love to find a way to implement it properly into the core modes, but we'll see. And then new weapons from the DLC, light tubes, barbed wire bat, and the door. Very fun. Hope they keep doing this with future updates. Fingers crossed we keep getting new cool stuff as it comes in. Please give us a War Games Arena for the WCW pack that we can actually play in both rings that isn't just War Games mode. Please. Alright, positives out of the way. It's time for me to rant for, like, I don't even know how long about all the other modes, because Jesus Christ, as a core creator, as somebody whose whole thing when they play the games is to make cores and to do the core universe modes and all of that stuff, I have a lot to say. First of all, Highlight Reel sucks this year. Straight up sucks ass, alright? And that's not me being like, oh, the new system. The new system's fine. But the issue is, with the Highlight Reel, is that it feels like the game is trying to play in a frame rate that it's not. It feels really choppy, and I don't know how to explain it. I'm probably going to be showing stuff on screen as this is happening. I don't know how else to explain it, other than it feels like it's trying to play in maybe 60, but it's running in 30, or vice versa, and it just looks incredibly choppy. It's making the Highlight Reel very difficult to do. There's very specific things I can do, there are things I can't do. So you're probably going to see that whenever I move over to 24. You're probably going to be able to see that, you know, a lot of spots that I used to do probably aren't doable anymore via Highlight Reel, and that's really annoying, but it is what it is. And speaking of cores and creations, community creations is bugged. And it is so annoying because the whole thing of, hey, if you download somebody, sure, you could get their character. There's a very high chance that it bugs your images, and now all of a sudden you've got Tito Santana's render on your tights. Shout outs to Catchamania, I believe, for that one. But, you know, it's so annoying because it's like, how on earth are we at the point where they have been in charge of the games for, what, 9 years now? Maybe even a little bit longer, what, like a decade? Like, how on earth are we at the point where still stuff like community creations, which has been a staple of the games for God knows how long, how are we at the point where that is now bugged to like this degree? It was fine when it was like, hey, some things get lost to the void and you can't take them down anymore, etc. But now, when you download a character, you risk ruining your entire account. And as somebody who makes a ton of cores, it is making me incredibly wary about downloading people. So until I know this is fixed, we literally can't move over to 2k24. And that's really, really annoying. It's also making the core creation series, the shorts that I do, really annoying. Because I want to move them over to 24, but I'm going to have to do them on 23 because we're going to get into the next point. The actual create a superstar mode is bugged. You go into the face morphing, because I do a lot of face morphing, because if you want your cores to look unique, you've got to put in a little bit of time with the face morph, okay? It is bugged. You can't move the eyes at all on certain face templates. I need to write down a conclusive list before I send my ticket into 2K, because I want to make sure that that gets fixed. And in order for it to get fixed, I feel like I need to send all of the relevant information. So I'm currently working on that. If you're experiencing that issue, please get in touch with me, be it on Twitter or Discord or whatever, and let me know. Show me pictures of the face templates that aren't working in terms of like moving stuff in face morphing. If you've noticed it, please let me know. It'd be greatly appreciated. Because the quicker we can all kind of band together and kind of say, hey, this is an issue, the quicker 2K should, in theory, listen. They won't. We know what they're like, but we might as well just give it a shot, you know? But yeah, that's all the bad parts. Now we're going to get into the two really, really, like, just downright disgusting elements of early 2K24. So we're going to talk about the what's the status situation. Because now that time's passed, we can discuss it, because I feel like it's a talking point that a lot of people glossed over when they just brought him back, when they unbanned him. So for those of you that don't know, What's the Status is a fantastic creator. He does a lot of data mining, finds a lot of hidden stuff in the game, and attaches that to characters often created by other members of the community, uploads them as like a collaborative thing where it's like, hey, it's Mandy Rose but with like hidden crowd signs and like sometimes even hidden trons and entrances, etc. And that was a highlight of 2K23. That stuff, the hidden arenas, all of that stuff made 2K23 such a good game. I mean, you've seen all the backstage arenas I'm able to use in 2K23, and it's because of guys like What's the Status. So imagine how annoying it is when you're just trying to download some of the stuff that he's created, because yeah, I have kind of like a side universe mode that I don't do on camera, but like, you know, I wanted to use his updated, you know, like his Bobby Roode with the long hair, because I feel like that's sick, and it just reminds me so much of Robert Roode, you know, TNA Bobby Roode, and it's gone. And then we find out that Status has been like permanently banned from using the online stuff in 2K because he was using mods and whatnot. Now, look, I understand TOS, sure, terms of service, okay. It's against the rules, but to permanently ban somebody who's making your game better, instead of talking to them and potentially working with them, is such a dick move. And I feel like people need to understand this. It is not, oh, he broke the rules, so off with his head. Sure. But when it's like the biggest guy, when it's one of the guys that's keeping your game relevant all year round, because 2K aren't doing it. I'll keep that stack with you. We will get on to why in a second. You know, when somebody is keeping your game relevant, and instead of working with them, you choose to shut them down, is that not counterintuitive? Now, like, granted, they did listen to us, they listened to everybody who was, like, free status, and he is now unbanned, but you've got to think that this is going to be something that follows into 2K25, probably into future patches of 2K24. They are just going to keep clamping down on mods. And for those of you that are like, hey, the mods make these games, well, guess what? There ain't going to be no mods anymore, because they're just going to keep clamping down. Any new tools people find, 2K are going to find the counter to it. And this is going to be a battle that goes on for years and years and years and years and years, until people just decide, hey, we're done. And then what happens then, right? The people who play the mods, and like the people who download the mods, and people who play the 2K games exclusively for the mods, well, they're just going to go too. It's a massive, massive thing, and it's something that's worth keeping an eye on. And speaking of things to keep an eye on, we need to talk about the My Faction Persona cards, because I have never seen a bigger cash grab in my life, right? I know people are about to say, oh, but FIFA exists, right? Yeah, sure. We could talk about the issues with, like, a lot of the yearly sports games and their let's have you spend money on things that you really probably shouldn't, because you only get them for, like, less than a year. The issue is that for a game like this, to go, oh, the Persona cards, they're new, they're different, you know, they're reskins of characters that you guys want. You know, you want Modern Rock. You want Man Bun Roman, but guess what, my friends? It's gonna cost you a lot of money. You know, there have been reports from people who have spent over $400, over $100, over $900. It is insane, okay? And this is not good for anybody. Even if you don't touch My Faction, let me tell you why this is going to be an actual problem the longer this goes on for. People are just going to keep giving 2K money for My Faction, right? And what does a company value more than the consumers that just play the game? The consumers that spend money. And where are they spending that money? My Faction. So guess what? Expect My Faction to be a bigger part of the game in 2K25. Expect them to hide a bunch of cool stuff behind a paywall, behind $400, behind random packs, and people will go, oh, but it's My Faction and you don't need them. And it's like, yeah, but what happens if somebody, say for example in your core fed, what happens if somebody spends $400 on The Rock, right, and uses his vest, and now all of a sudden you can't download him because you haven't spent $400 and they're refusing to remove it, right? That's more on the person, but that's the scenario we're living in. What happens when core creators and people who make actual, like, real life wrestlers in 2K, what happens if they use My Faction stuff? And that sets you back a lot of money. Now, I know all of the good, like, the conscious ones, the ones that are good and the ones that know that this is a cash grab, absolutely, will not use any of those parts in their characters. And that's great, that is fantastic. But you will get the ones that will absolutely use those My Faction parts and will not give a fuck. And I don't often swear, but this really annoys me, because it's like, everybody wants this game to get better in different areas. Online, community creations, the creation suite, the actual gameplay, right? And the problem is now, is that because this mode, My Faction, is getting so much money, they are not going to focus on pretty much all of that. Maybe the gameplay. They'll focus on the gameplay because, you know, they want a game that plays well, you know. We can talk about that all we want. It's a good wrestling game, but in terms of like an actual good game, I don't think 2K really is. And again, that's probably a topic for another day. They are going to focus on My Faction because they know that there are people, and I'm going to put you all on blast, okay? There are idiots that will spend over $400, that will spend over $900 on things that you'll only have for what? They came out in what, mid-May? So you'll have them for about 10 months. And then what happens? What happens when we move over to 2K25? Do you get to keep them? No, of course you don't. They're just going to be available. You know? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but what about like if they did a My Faction Persona DLC? They're not. Because of the amount of money they've just made on The Rock and Roman. And they're just going to keep loading out Persona cards like this. They're going to cost so much money. And what happens then? What happens then? You know, I hate feeling like I'm ranting to you guys, but like this has been on my mind for a long time, and I haven't been able to record anything because I've been incredibly busy. But it's so annoying seeing a franchise and seeing a game series that I have played for God knows how long. You know, we're coming up to the 6-year anniversary of me doing stuff on YouTube. And to see the games going down this road and in the state that they are absolutely sucks. I hope that some of the things I mentioned get better. I hope they sort out community creations. I hope they sort out the creation suite. They're not going to though. And that's the harsh reality. We can sit here and we can go, oh, the next patch will fix it. The next patch will fix it. But what about 2K20? Right? The game that everybody disregards. They fixed most of the things in the first few patches. But there were still so many glaring issues that people still didn't play. And that's going to be the issue with 2K24. It's nowhere near as unplayable as early 2K20. I'll give it that. But it's damn close. And that's the problem. It's that close. And 2K don't care, because at least it's better than their worst thing. But that was my review of 2K24. Just completely honest. If I had to rate the game right now, giving it a 4.5 out of 10. It's not good. Until they fix stuff. If you're a core person, don't buy it. If you're a highlight reeler, don't buy it. If you're a universe mode person who like does in-game universe mode stuff, I probably wouldn't touch it either. But it's up to you. Your money, spend it your way. See ya.